What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79, guys. Today I'm kicking off the start of my Pendulum week, showcasing you my Metalfoes deck. All this week I'm going to be bringing you other Pendulum decks, showing you what they can do and how they can really handle the current meta situation that is out there right now. And I can tell you right now, I am very hyped with all three of the decks that I have chosen to showcase you. The first one we can see right now is going to be my Metalfoes. This is more of a pure version deck. It's been a really long time since I've done a pure Metalfoes build. I think the last time was back in 2018. More recently, I've been doing combinations with Metalfoes and Yang Zing or Cosmos, primarily because the Pendulum skill effects allow you to access those other archetypes' destruction effects pretty damn well. This particular version of the deck, however, does make use of that Pendulum effect, but it also makes use of the fact that they are non-effect normal monsters, and because of that, it just allows you to play around with some more stun capabilities that this deck has, and it can really give your opponent issues, especially once you establish a board. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. Starting off with the normal Metalfoes, we're just going to go through the monsters. 3 copies of Gold Driver, 3 copies of Silvered, those are your scale 1s. We have 3 copies of Steelin, and 3 copies of Metalfoes Full Flame. Okay, for the normal 8s. Like I said before, the scales are all the same effects. You target a face-up card you control in the field, you can destroy it, and from your deck you can set a Metalfoes spell or trap onto your field. Just helps you get your plays going a little bit faster, and I can tell you now, it is a very awesome deck. The scales are very wide, 1 and 8, so it allows you to Pendulum summon out a lot of different monsters, and it really does help this deck get going. We are running the 2 copies of the rare Metalfoes Bison Gear. Primary reason is because whenever it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you're getting a end phase search for a Metalfoes monster to add to your deck, to your hand. Very awesome. Does help out and allows you to plan and extend your game state on your next turn. For the other monsters to help get you started, we are running 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit is just a sick card in this deck, since the majority of the monsters are all normal monsters. Tribute this card off, special summon out 2 of your Metalfoes monsters at level 4 or lower that have the same effects, that have the same levels. Get them onto the field, and from there you can go into your Xyz plays, or you can even go into your Slink plays or Fusion plays from there. So it does give you amazing play starting options, and that's why you want to run it at 3. The other monster that I'm running is one of the 2 copies of Rescue Hamster. Rescue Hamster, very sick Pendulum card to have in this deck. Both of the effects allow you to get monsters with the same name either back onto the field or into your hand, and it just helps the deck keep the plays going even more. While its cards in the Pendulum scale, you can banish it, target those 2 monsters you have with the same name, get them back into your hand, and that's actually pretty important, especially if you don't have a lot of link zones open up via link monsters. It's just going to allow you to be able to get more monsters onto the field, because when you Pendulum summon from your hand, you're not restricted to the zones link monsters point to. That only applies to the Pendulum monsters coming from the extra deck. So, very damn useful effect. It's on-field effect, monster effect. You tribute it, and basically you're special summoning those 2 monsters with the same name onto the field. The effects will be negated and destroyed at the end of the turn, but listen, you're not going to be really worried about that. Typically you go into an Xyz or a Link or a Fusion play once you get those monsters on the field, and it just helps this deck recover a little bit better. So it's definitely a more mid to late game style card. I have had success using this card on my early turns, so that's why I run 2 copies, just in case I need to extend a little bit. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells. 1 copy of Emergency Teleport gets any level 3 or lower psychic type monster from your deck onto your field. The monster is banished, but you're not going to be keeping those monsters on the field for long. And it works insanely well with the Metalfoes because they're all psychics. This is one of my favorite tech cards in this deck, and that's 3 copies of Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. This is the Tenyi field spell, and while this card's face up in the field, all your non-effect monsters, that includes normal monsters as well as some of the monsters that are in your extra deck, cannot be targeted by your opponent's monster effects at all. Which means if they have a Boral Soul Dragon, they're not going to be able to cut that monster's attack in half. I mean, that is pretty damn impressive for the protection of a field spell can give you, and it's definitely something that I love. But the effect that I really love, and my opponents love to hate, is the fact that while I control a non-effect monster, whenever my opponent special summons, I'm drawing 2 cards. Yeah. This card is literally like a field spell version of Max C, and just giving you that additional resources to play through your opponent's board. Worth it! Okay, most of the decks nowadays you want to be going first, so in a going first build, 3 copies of Heat Wave, activate this at the start of your main phase 1, and neither player can normal summon or special summon effect monsters until the start of your next turn. That's actually sick, and it can really hurt your opponent very badly, because all they really can do is basically set a monster and pass, because there are a lot of decks out there that really don't play back row. So yeah, definitely something. If you're playing second, I would strongly suggest swapping this card out for Dark Ruler No More. Shuts down your monster effects and allows you to play uninterrupted. So definitely something to consider. 1 copy of Metalfoes Fusion. This is the only Metalfoes Fusion spell you run in this deck. Normal spell, but it can recycle itself back into your deck and give you additional draws. So definitely worthwhile having this card in your deck. The other fusion spells that you're running in this deck: 3 copies of Super Polymerization. There is a monster in the extra deck that can allow you to access this card pretty much immediately. And with the costs of with the recipes for the non-effect Metalfoes monsters, yeah, this card can bust your opponent's board pretty damn easily, especially since your opponent can't respond to it. So, very awesome. 1 copy of Terraforming. You want to be seeing your field spell. And 2 copies of Unexpected Die. If you don't control any monsters on the board, activate this card, special summon a normal monster, level 4 or lower normal monster from your deck onto your field. Helps you get your deck going, and it's just a great play starter as well. So, traps, 1 copy of Metaverse. See the field spell and drop it during your opponent's turn. Very awesome. 2 copies of Metalfoes Counter. Whenever one of your cards on your field is destroyed by battle or card effect, flip this card face up, and you're able to special summon a Metalfoes monster from your deck onto your field. Helps you block attacks, or just gets you additional bodies on the board to continue your plays on your next turn. Metalfoes Combination. Its fusion summon effect really isn't going to get you that much out of it, unless you're basically summoning with another Metalfoes fusion monster. Most likely you're going to be utilizing its destruction effect. Whenever it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can actually banish the card and search your deck for another Metalfoes monster to add to your hand. You can activate that card effect the same turn, so it's actually pretty awesome. And of course, we have 3 copies of Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi. The Tenyi counter trap is actually pretty damn sick, because as long as you control a non-effect monster on the field, negate the activation of one of your opponent's monster effects, spells, or traps, and it just allows you to basically halt your opponent's play. So, definitely worth having. That's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, Metalfoes Mithrilium. Pretty awesome fusion monster. You can target up to 2 Metalfoes cards that you have in your graveyard, recycle them back in your deck. You can also bounce one of your opponent's cards off the field. So, yeah, that's actually a pretty useful effect. Whenever it leaves the field, you're actually special summoning a Metalfoes monster to replace it from your graveyard. Not bad. So, always worth to see. Pretty damn awesome card here with this Metalfoes Orichalc. Orichalc can allow any of your Metalfoes monsters to inflict double piercing damage, which is actually pretty damn sick, if you ask me. 2800 attack points, it's actually a very awesome body. Love having this card. And then, of course, the non-effect fusions, 2 copies of Adamante, and 1 copy of Crimsonite. I probably will be swapping the ratio, doing 1 Adamante and 1 Crimsonite, primarily because Crimsonite requires 2 monsters with 3,000 or less attack. Adamante requires 1 monster with 2,500 or less attack. And just being able to play through your opponent and be able to swipe 2 of their cards with Super Poly to bring out Crimsonite, I think is a better deal, because you can actually just break your opponent's board a little bit easier just by using 2 of their monsters as resources. So, yes, definitely something that I'm considering going down the road. For Xyz plays, number 41, Babushka, just to stall. Number 60, Dugars of the Timeless, excuse me. Very awesome card. Detaching material, you can draw 2 cards, discard 1. Alright, that's pretty cool. You gotta skip your next draw phase though. The next card is you can detach effect. Special summon a monster from your graveyard onto the field in defense position. Typically, that's going to be utilized in building boards, but you have to skip your next main phase. 1. The last effect, you're basically be skipping your next battle phase, or your next turn's battle phase, but you can double the attack of one of your monsters. So having this card on the field with something like Orichalc definitely is worth trying out, because you can double Orichalc's attack to 5,600, and since it allows all Metalfoes monsters to basically inflict double piercing damage, you get the idea. You could blow out your opponent if all they have is a defense special monster. So definitely something you want to try. I have 1 copy of Mechaphenbe's Tracker Sack. You can get 2 level 7s onto the field and make this, and the tokens it creates you can just utilize to climb into your Link monsters. All the Link monsters in this deck are super generic, allowing you to be able to climb into higher links and just make use of those tokens. So definitely something that you want to try out. For the links, 2 copies of IP Masquerena. What can I say? Just being able to have her on the field and being able to link off during your opponent's turn, such a worthwhile, amazing effect. And the card that you bring out with her is basically going to be immune to your opponent being targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, yeah, not bad. Alright, this is more of a fusion-based deck. 2 copies of Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Pay 2,000 life points, you're pitching the Super Poly to your graveyard, but its effect becomes that of Super Poly, so your opponent can't chain to it when you activate the fusion effect. And if your opponent has multiple monsters on the field, you get the idea. You're basically going to be ripping their field apart using Super Poly. So yes, very awesome. 1 copy of the Draco Master of the Tenyi. Draco Master of the Tenyi, pretty awesome. Can't be destroyed in battle with effect monsters. You attack on IP's effect, yeah, it becomes even harder to get off the field. What's really cool is that all the arrows are actually pointing towards you, so you get the best arrows. If it's Pendulum someone from the extra deck, you get a lot more monsters on the field rather than just 1. Furthermore, its other effect allows you to count the number of normal monsters or non-effect monsters you control, and you're destroying an equal number of monsters off your opponent's field. So you get a little bit of a board wipe and field control with this particular monster, and it's just so awesome. And last but not least, we got 2 copies of the Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. 3k attack point. Pretty awesome. The only thing I don't like is the link arrows pointing towards your opponents, because you're giving them 2 link zones, but still, you got 3k body on the board. Make it with IP. It can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You have the other field spell protecting it. So definitely something to really keep in mind. And I can tell you right now, very awesome card. Guys, that is it for my Metalfoes deck for the May 2020 format. I really hope you guys like this deck. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Check out the description box below. Make sure to check out my affiliates. TCGplayer.com allows you to get any of the cards you need to build these decks. SideDeckVersus.com allows you to be able to build the right structure deck going, or the right side deck going into your into tournaments, whether it be online or physical. It's such an amazing tool. Be able to pick the right cards to hurt the most decks. It just works, and it helps you optimize your side deck options, really to hurt your opponents the most. Check me out on social media, Twitter and Reddit, and not only that, but guys, join my Discord. The invite links in the description box below as well. So guys, until next time, peace!